All right. Good morning or good afternoon, everybody. Todd Ferguson with Accelerators Organization, going to do a mentor session today. So a little bit about me. I live in Southwest Missouri. I am in the e-commerce space. We are also in the warehousing and logistics space, in commercial real estate, self-storage facilities, and looking to get into multifamily real estate as well. So we're going to use those experiences to help answer some of these questions, or at least experience share and provide some insight potentially into some of the questions you guys have. And so I've been a full-time entrepreneur for almost 10 years. I've owned several businesses. A lot of them have failed. And the great thing is having a group like AO where you can ask questions, you can bounce ideas off other entrepreneurs, and you can really feel like you're part of a community. So we've got 5 or 6 questions here. We're going to roll right into them. As I get going, if you have more, if you asked a question, or even if you didn't and you need more information, or you have more questions, feel free to shoot me a direct message through Facebook. First question comes from Nick. Nick says, what sort of question should I be asking if someone approaches me about merging our businesses? So business description says, I have a vehicle wrapping business. A colleague of mine in a similar type of business, meaning it's in the same industry but not necessarily competing, approached me about merging. I'm trying to know what question to ask, not only to see if it's financially viable, but what from a personality perspective, and what about the legal side with the decision making. So what I would suggest is I would ask the questions, why does this individual want to merge with my company? And so there's a difference between merging and then also starting a business and having a business partner. So you start the business from the beginning knowing you have a business partner, you've got certain roles and responsibilities that each of you are obligated or required to do. When you merge, you're really taking a business, 2 businesses that have been operating under certain management, they have certain SOPs, and you're putting them together. And so I don't know what the merger looks like for you, who's really in charge. But those are definitely questions I would ask is, why does the individual want to merge? Does it really benefit your business? Do they truly complement each other? What are the roles and responsibility? Who has the final say? Who makes the decisions? There's so many different things to ask. But if I am merging, the way I want to look at it is I want to have the final say. People do things differently. They have different personalities. They have different ways that they do things. They have different customer service standards. And so when you are going to merge with some other business, there's probably going to be a lot of discrepancies based on the way you do things and the way they do things. And so really, I want to make sure that I have control. I have the final say. So for me, merging, it means I want to acquire businesses, roll them up, and own that myself. And so hopefully that helps. I know I didn't give you very specific stuff, but really just find out the motive for that person and just start talking. Like, go out with them on the jobs, whatever they're doing, have them work with you, really see how your personalities kind of intertwine, and see if there's any type of conflict there. But really, is there another way that you could do things, is the way I would ask too, is instead of merging, can you guys just give each other a commission whenever you refer somebody? So have them refer people to you. You can refer people to them. You give them a cut or a commission on that. See if that really works out. Because the whole point to merge would be that there would be some type of benefit. There would be some type of thing for your company and for their company that they can't get anywhere else unless they merge together. But if you can get it and not merge and still keep your company separate, but then offer customers or help them out whenever they need, then that would be the way I would approach it and look at it. Next question comes from Kelly. Kelly says, I have a hard time being vulnerable with people close to me when things are not going great, but love to share when things are going great. How do I break through that? So business description says, I have a construction business in California, and man, does it have highs and lows. I'm in AO Squared, where we have a tight-knit group. 2024 has not been the best financially. I'm happy and the family is good, but I find myself just going through the motions of our small group and not really opening up and talk about this tough year. What have you found to be the benefits of really opening up and allowing people in, and how that benefits your business and life? So Roy, I think it's not just in business, but in personal life, and especially entrepreneurs, like we expect, or we are expected at times to bear the weight of our companies and to and maybe I'm just speaking from personal experience here, I guess I am, is, I feel the weight to bear all that. I don't want to burden people, if we want to say that, in quotations. I don't want to burden people with my problems. I want to be positive. I want to be uplifting. And yet when we have a small group of people, such as AO Squared for you, those individuals are the people that are really invested in you and that want to help you and see you grow. And so if we're only telling them the good, then it doesn't allow them to help us. Because if we're on this upward trajectory and everything's great all the time and we're not struggling, then there's very little that another person or a group can offer to you other than just, hey, attaboys, great job. What are you doing? How can you help me? But when you're vulnerable and when you open up and when you share things with that close group of people, they really do want to see you succeed and they do want to help you. Now that's different as, if you have a close group of business associates versus your family. Your family, yes, they want to see you succeed, but they don't want to hear about all the crap that we go through daily, right? As entrepreneurs and business owners. But when you are privileged to have that group, that is the time you should be the most vulnerable. And so it's not being negative. It's not a lack of self-confidence. It's just saying, hey, I'm struggling. This is what's going on. And I remember 3 or 4, 5 months ago, I don't remember, because I'm in another AO Squared as well, that when I opened up with some things that I was really struggling with and I actually broke down a little bit, it was the outreach and the pouring of support and the willingness to help me work through that was something that I've never experienced. And so if you really are looking for some guidance and some help, being vulnerable is one of the most productive things you can do. It's not always the easiest, and oftentimes I second guess or self-doubt, but once I've opened up and done that, it just shows the amount of support that you have in those groups, and the people want to see you succeed. And oftentimes you find that people are going through something similar or have already been through that. And so there's some wisdom, there's some experience share that people can do, and there's some guidance. And so I just encourage you to ask yourself the next time you guys have your meeting, how can I be vulnerable? What can I be vulnerable with? And just really look and see what happens. Next question comes from Ricardo. Ricardo says, how much does a business have to invest into marketing? So business description says, I own a barbershop business and I started a coaching business. How much marketing does a business have to spend to start seeing an ROI in your experience? I've not hit 7 figures yet and really looking to push the needle. Well, Ricardo, this is one of those questions that most people don't want to hear. It depends. It really does depend. And yes, you should be tracking your ROI or your return on your investment with any dollars that you're spending as far as advertising or marketing or whatever you want to call it. Now, to begin with, there are a ton of things that you can do that do not cost a lot of money, that do not cost, they just cost time. And so those things should be the first things that you focus on. And so for your business, if you're talking about your barbershop business, you're posting about your barbershop on Facebook and Instagram, and yes, you can do sponsored ads and all this other stuff. But anything that's free is the stuff that I would be maxing out. And if you're not doing it, you can pay somebody to do that. So then you would start tracking the ROI. But really, a lot of it's about brand recognition. It's about top of mind advertising. So when somebody thinks about a barbershop, they think about premium barbers, I think is what it's called, right? So they think about that. But tracking your ROI is very important. Now, how much do they need to invest? That's when you really need to link up with a good CFO at some point or somebody that knows marketing. I think Mitch, one of the new mentors, is great at this as far as marketing. He can give some advice on this. But when you have somebody that can help you track that ROI and you know that when I spend X amount, I'm getting X amount back, then that's when you can start to scale, and that's when you can start to put the hammer down, press the needle, whatever you want to say, and really start to figure out, for instance, if for Amazon, it's a little bit different, but we have something called pay-per-click. And so I know if I spend X amount, I should get X amount in return. So then the question is how much do I want to allocate out of my funds to do that, knowing that I'm going to get a return? And so you can spend $1 on marketing, you can spend $1 million, but if you're not getting a return, then that's what's important. But really aligning yourself with somebody that can help you dig into those numbers, can give you sound advice on based on your niche or your area of business, what you should expect for your ROI. And then as you start to bring money in, you save some of that, you invest some of it back into marketing, and you start building this marketing machine, which can really change your business. All right, next question comes from Trina. Trina says, how do I keep myself from being so overwhelmed with so much to do? Business description says, I own 2 retail locations. One's a chocolate shop and the other is an ice cream shop. They're right next door to each other. Most of my team are students, and it's a real struggle managing hours, schedule, etc., while training people to make the chocolates. Have great customer service while managing the business. The business is doing well. I just had a baby and need to free up some time and gain more mental clarity in the business. Where do I look first? Well, I think that, Trina, that's one of the things that we all go through as entrepreneurs, is that feeling of being overwhelmed and making a to-do list and looking at it and maybe going home at the end of the day and thinking, I knocked some things off, but I really didn't get anything accomplished, or I don't feel that way. And so there's a couple things that I would suggest and that have helped us as we have grown and our team has grown. We've expanded into other businesses and running multiple companies. Is the first one, and I talk about this a lot on here, is a calendar. So if you're not calendaring your day, your week, your months, then you're really doing yourself a disservice. If you're just going through the motions and allowing the day to dictate how it goes versus you dictating how the day goes, then you're really just starting to set yourself up for failure, not success. So if you can start calendaring stuff, put your reoccurring task or things that you do weekly on there. So that would be payroll, that would be marketing, whatever it is for your business. Put those on there as a reoccurring event, so Then you start adding in other things that pop up. I'm a big fan of Motion as well. I've talked about that on here. I think it's called Use Motion. You can look it up, but it's basically an AI tool. As opposed to just having a to-do list by your desk, you can actually plug in all that stuff, and it coordinates with your Google Calendar, and it puts in where you should be doing stuff based on how long it's going to take you, the urgency that you need to have with or the priority, I guess, for those tasks. And it really spits out a calendar for you. So even if you're, let's just say, training your team, from 1 to 3 today, you would put that in your calendar training. And you can invite whoever you need to as well. And then Motion works around all that. So making sure you're having a calendar, putting your to-do list in some type of AI tool if you can, which is what Motion is, and allow it to fill your day for you. The second thing is, if you're spending a ton of time training, make sure you have SOPs in place. So SOPs are standard operating procedures. It's how your business is going to run. And for us, we've been in business for several years and still didn't have those. And that's one of the things AO really helped us is, we would tell people how to do things. We would show them, but everybody has their own little nuances of how how they do things. But when you have SOPs and a guide, then this is the way our business operates. This is the standard with which we will do things, whether it's customer service, whether it's making chocolates, whether it's filling out a schedule request form, whatever it is, there's a standard. And so as you start to train people and teach people, if you have a group or if you have SOPs, then you can start having other people train other people, and that starts to free up your time. And so really, it's just prioritizing your stuff at the beginning of the day, having a calendar, and then I would really start looking at using SOPs if you don't have that. As you grow, you've also got to learn how to delegate. You have to learn how to give ownership to people. And so if a person or a business owner thinks they need to be the one to always train or to always do the customer service, or my name's on the building, I need to be that person, then yes, you will start to feel overwhelmed. But as you start to delegate certain tasks and certain responsibilities to other team members, that really starts to free up your time. So let's just say you do your SOPs and you get somebody that can help train, and you've delegated that, then you just have freed up your time. And so that's time you can spend at home with your baby. That's time that you could spend doing other things that you need to do, taking time for yourself. But those are the things that I would really focus on. All right, next question comes from Jessica. Jessica says, how do I set goals to determine what I really want for my business so I have some direction? So business description says, I own a retail home goods store in a small town, and I also have a furniture restoration and painting business where we paint kitchen cabinets, etc. I have a manager for the store, and if it doesn't just break even, it makes a small profit. I have a couple of vendors that rent space to sell goods. No online for that business, but considering the furniture painting business is me and one other person, and we just do jobs ourselves, but the business is not growing. Honestly, I'm just trying to find direction to be happy in life with my business and feeling a little lost. What do you do when you feel that way, or what advice could you give me to get through it? Well, I will tell you, just as you're starting to do goal setting and looking at this, I think it's great that you asked this question. The first thing I would tell you is it is very tough to be happy or to feel satisfied in your business if you're not making money and if you're not growing. And so, for instance, you said your first business, if it doesn't break even, just break even, it makes a small profit. And so I did not want to get into business. I got into business for several reasons, but making money is one of them. Being able to do what I want to do. That relates into time freedom and other things, but financially to make money. And so if you're struggling and you're not making money, that is frustrating, and it is tough to have a clear path to what you want. And the second one, you talked about how your business isn't growing, it's not scalable. And so once you figure out how to make money, to be able to make more money, you've got to learn how to scale. And so it really would be, the first thing would be to identify if those two businesses are really the things that are going to get you where you want to go financially. Are they going to give you the time freedom that you need? If they're not, then you've got to start making decisions about that. If they are, then you've got to figure out how to scale it, how to make more money, how to utilize the gifts and the talents and all that you already have. But as far as setting goals, the best thing to do that I've learned, and I learned this in AO as well, and we did a whole goal setting workshop. We've done it several times, but you basically work backwards. So you figure out what you ultimately want. What do you ultimately want? And you start painting out this picture of what you want your life to look like. Then you start working backward and say, all right, well, if I want to do this, in the next 5 years, then I need to do this in the next 2 to 3, and then I need to do this in the next year. And then you start breaking it down by month, and then you start breaking it down by week, and you really start to identify. So for instance, if you want to do $1 million in sales for the year, that's $83,333 a month. Then you figure that out, how much you're going to need to make a week. So you start working backwards, and you can do that with a lot of things. You can do that with whether it's a goal for health, for your business, for your family, whatever it is. And I don't know if it's in the portal, but there is Sean could probably help you out with that. But there is a great worksheet that he has. And I think he's going to do a class on it about goal setting. But really figure out what the end goal is, work backwards from that, and then just identify your businesses if they're going to get you there. And if not, then you might need to make some changes. All right, last question comes from Jessica as well. How do I handle being in a relationship with someone who is not 100% supportive? So same business description, retail home store in a small town, furniture restoration and painting business. They have a fiance for 7 years, and he has some minor control and insecurity issues. And I just want to know how to best handle this. It can be great, but then it can also not be. Besides therapy, any suggestions? So this is really a challenging question for me because my partner, my wife, has always been supportive of business, and it's never been to where I have to ask permission. She doesn't like the risk, whatever it is. I've always been allowed to do the things that I need to grow the business. She's always been supportive and always filled in where she needs to, whether that's on the home front, working in the business. So it is challenging for me, but I will tell you, based on your previous question, is, making money can solve a lot of things. So if the business that you have is struggling, or the businesses that you have are struggling, and you're spending a ton of time away from home and you're not making money, that can be a point of contention. You say he has minor control and insecurity issues. I'm not really sure how to address that, but I will tell you, when you can make good money, you can free up your time, and you are allowed to do things, that's not just solely business related. That will help relationship a lot. And it is tough when you are with somebody that does not have an entrepreneurial mindset. So it's very tough to, especially if they are a W-2 worker, which is totally fine. But the things that we go through as business owners and entrepreneurs are are not the same as somebody that works for a Fortune 500 company or works for a business that has 500 employees. It's just not the same thing. They are wanting to go clock in, clock out, make money, and just go home. We, as entrepreneurs, oftentimes think about business all the time, always see opportunity. And so it's really just doing goals. So if you wanted to involve your fiance in your goal setting, that would be something great too, because then it's two people, then you can work backwards from that and see maybe where there might be some challenges with you being a business owner and the way you guys communicate and them being them. But really, the easiest way to help fix that is to find a business that makes good money, to be able to do what you want to do, to have time freedom, to financially have a little fun. And that seems to change a lot of things. All right, those are all the questions. Some really good questions again this month. You guys just go into the portal, plug in the question. I think it's just called Ask a Question, but plug those in there. Anytime you guys have something throughout the week or the month that you're struggling with, or you need a little bit of insight or guidance or experience share, just throw those suckers in there. You're helping other people. You're not just helping yourself. And honestly, it helps me too as a mentor to think through these things and to make sure I'm doing the things that I need to my business. So everybody have a great weekend, and we'll talk to everybody soon.